Good evening and welcome to our Amud Yom Yishir, following the Dilshu International Cycle. We are now in Masechet Shabbos, Daf Yud Gimel, Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph in the bottom of the page. The Amud is Yud Gimel Amud Beis, but we're still here. Tana de Eliyahu. So before we continue, we're in the 4 lines from the bottom of the page. Go to the 2 dots, and that's where we are, okay? Basically, yesterday we came up with a machlokes that what's the isser of erva of lotikrevu? Is the isser to mameshev tashmish? That's the only isser d'oraisa, and all other isurim are d'rabbanon. Even to mamish duchi buknishuk, even kiruv basar without clothes could be just d'rabbanon. So to sleep together in the same bed with the clothes on would not even be d'rabbanon, would be allowed. Or do we say no? Do we say that the Isser D'Oraisa is Chibuk Nishuk without clothes, with even if it's Mamish Der Chiba, and to be stam sleeping together with the clothes on, yeah, that since this is the Rabbanon, so this is allowed. Yeah, that's a shayla. We always go far. Whatever is Osir is one level beyond the Rabbanon, right? Beyond the D'Oraisa, excuse me. Yeah, if the D'Oraisa is Mamish Tashmish, and the D'Rabbanon is Chibuk v'nishuk, so to be with the clothes on in the same bed is okay. Otherwise, no. So the halacha is it's not allowed. You can't be in bed with what? With the clothes on, even with your wife Nida, yeah, even with the clothes on. But now we're going to see a story to do with that. Good, you look like, yeah, you're fine. Beseder. Says the Gemara Tana de Eliyahu. Story Tana de Eliyahu means it's a story that was retold by Eliyahu himself. In the Mesivta, in the house of Eliyahu, yeah, I don't know who Eliyahu taught this to, his Talmidim, yeah, but Eliyahu said over this story. There was a Talmid Chacham, Sheshonu Harbe v'Koro Harbe. Shonu Harbe, he learned a lot of Mishnayos, and Koro Harbe, he had a lot of knowledge in Chumash, yeah, Mikra, v'Shimesh Talmid Chachamim Harbe. Rashi stresses the Shimesh Talmid Chachamim doesn't mean to live by the house of the Rebbe and wash his hands. That's also Shimesh Talmidei Chachamim. Shimesh Talmidei Chachamim means to learn Gemara. In other words, L'Shamesh Talmidei Chachamim is to talk in learning with the Talmidei Chachamim to understand what the Chumash and the Mishnayos are about. So he was a very, accomplished Talmid Chacham. He knew Chumash, Mishnayos, and Gemara. He was in touch with Talmidei Chachamim. He died when he was halfway through. I guess Eliyahu knew that, I don't know, supposed to live 70 years originally, and he died at, let's say, 35. I'm just making up numbers. Yeah, he died halfway through his original planned lifespan. So that's a terrible tragedy. And look at his poor wife, the Almana. His wife would take his tefillin all around from place to place. She would take his tefillin, she would take them around and around, she would take them to different shuls and basa medrash. She told the people in this medrash, Siv b'Torah, look, it says in the Torah, this is your life and your longevity. Orach yamim, yeah, richus yamim. Baili, my husband, Sheshona harbe, v'koro harbe, v'shimesh talmid chachamim harbe. My husband was such a talmid chacham, you would do Chumash, Mishnah, Gemara, all that. Mipnei ma meis b'chatz yamav. Why did he deserve it? Why did he die when he was so young? V'lo yoda machzir adovo. And nobody knew. Nobody knew that, yeah, what to answer her. Eliyahu was hosted by her. Wow. Such a tzedekes. Eliyahu said, I was hosted by her. And she told me this entire story. And I told her. Now, Eliyahu knew the truth. I saw them before him here in the Dilshu. They quote people who say Eliyahu knew the real reason, but he slowly got her to understand what the reason was. Yeah, so it's like a question and answer kind of thing to get her to understand it. I told her, Biti, my daughter, bimeni dusich ma'u etzlech. How does he behave, or how did he behave with you, towards you when you were nida? Amorli, she told me, chas v'shalom, chas v'shalom. Afilu be'etzba ktana lo noga bi. That's halacha. He didn't touch me at all. Not even be'etzba ktana. In other words, didn't touch me at all in any shape or form. Didn't touch me at all while I was nida. B'mei libunich ma'u etzlech. Now, what's b'mei libun? After the blood is over, and we also have the xer of the extra 5 days, whatever. Then comes the Shiva Nakim. So he asked, by the Shiva Nakim, is it different? Yeah. Did he behave differently during Shiva Nakim? So Tosfos asks the question, what should that make a difference? And soon we see that there was. She's nida all the way until mikveh, right? So Tosfos says that in those days, there would be toivel when she finished bleeding. Yeah, because by Zava, when she finishes bleeding, even before mikveh, yeah, that's midoraisa, even before Shiva Nakim, it's okay. It depends if it's Zav, Gdola, Zavaktana, V'chule. Yeah, but there was a certain stage in which midoraisa, there's a tvila to take care of the oraisa, right? Because tvila midoraisa, you don't need Shiva Nakim by Zavaktana. So tvila is okay even before the Shiva Nakim. The Shiva Nakim is only midorabanan by Zavaktana or by Nida. So there was like one tvila to stop the doraisa, and then there was Shiva Nakim and another tvila to completely allow her. And that's where he was Mekel. In those Shiva Nakim, which, by the way, don't get me wrong, the Shiva Nakim is the Rabbanon. Shiva Nakim are the Oraisa only in Zava Gdoila that she saw 3 days or 3 areas in a row. If she only saw 2 days, she doesn't need Shiva Nakim. Nida doesn't need Shiva Nakim. Today, we always machmir, everybody needs Shiva Nakim, they're treated as Zava Gdoila. So the Master Shiva Nakim many times would be the Rabbanon, right? The need for Shiva Nakim. Not you can be Mekel Khalila, but that's the right. And anyhow, they don't go to the mikveh before. But he was Kilu, he wasn't playing shtick, but he thought he was doing the right thing by doing what? There was Tvila. So with the right, so she's fine. Then Shiva Nakim, then another Tvil for the Rabbanon. That's where the Yetzer Hara chapped him, and could be by mistake. What did he do then? Ochal imi. Now she's responding, ooh, the Shiva Nakim. No. During that time, he ate with me, the Shasu imi, normally, without what? Without a hefsek. That's already wrong, right? They didn't keep the archokas. He ate with me, drank with me. The yoshan imi bekir of boso. Wapa. He mamish not slept with me as we say in English, but I'm saying he slept, he was in bed with me, bekir of boso. Sounds like they were naked and kir of boso completely. But v'lo todayt al davar acher. He didn't even think of tashmish. Tzaddik. In other words, they were together in bed like that, undressed, but he didn't b'chlal have a havamina. He could control himself, and he didn't even think of tashmish. So what's wrong? She didn't have there's anything wrong there. Well, really, he was over what? On a Darabanon, right? Says the Vamarti law, says Eliyahu to her, I told her, says Eliyahu, Baruch HaMokim Sha'arogoi. Wow. Baruch Hashem that he died. Yeah, it didn't show him much sympathy. Why? Shaloi nosa ponim latoiro. What does mean nosa ponim latoiro? He didn't keep the Rabbanon. Yeah, nosa ponim latoiro means that the Torah gives you an Isser, and you noisa ponim, you give it like extra face, extra volume. And he didn't. Could be mebezid. Could be he didn't keep the Rabbanon thinking he would control himself. Why is it only the Rabbanon? Either like Tosfos, he was the after one Tvila, or let's continue. Which means it says don't get close to the Isha Nida. So now, as I told you, it's Machlokes Rishonim. Some Rishonim say that being with the Nida, touching, feeling, and all that, and kissing is what? Is the Oraisa, right? And then maybe it was over the Oraisa, unless you select Tosfos. And some say it's the Rabbanon. But whatever the case may be, yeah, he's definitely either not keeping the Din Torah, according to those who say that he can't be with a Nida Bekir of Basar, or he's not keeping the Rabbanon, because with the Oraisa he can't have Tashmish, and he's doing the Rabbanon of being close with her, which is also the Rabbanon. Now, Nos upon him either means he didn't keep the Rabbanon, he's not adding the extra thing for the Torah, or I saw they explained there, Lo Nos upon him means that Hashem did not give him protectia. What does it mean when we say in Birkas Kohanim, Yisa Hashem panav elecha? Hashem will give you kinder face, like a Nesias Chen, like a protectia in Chufado, like being extra nice to someone for no reason. No, this guy is over a Durabanon, yeah, or over the Oraisa, even worse. If you say that kissing and this is the Oraisa, is also even being together with flesh to flesh is also the Oraisa. So Hashem has showed no mercy to him. One of the two. Of course, the question is, why is it really that such a choshev a person would do such a thing? That's really a question that's underlying here. It was a chassid. Ma'aseh b'chassid means it was a pious person. Yes, how did he rely on himself like that? And he was actually over the rice at the end of the day. So, Kioso of Dimi, the Gemara is now answering this. Kioso of Dimi, Omar mita chada havoi. They were in one bed, which means they were not really touching as we thought. Meaning, kiruv boso does not mean they were mamish like hugging or touching undressed. Rather, they were in the same bed, not touching each other, and he didn't know that that's also. Yeah, and it is. Let's say they were without clothes. Kiruv boso, they were undressed in the same bed, but they were half a meter apart. Each one turning his face from each other. That's okay. Kamash Malan, it's not okay. And here's the source for the separate beds that we have today. To be in one bed is also we're nida, yeah, bichlal, even, and we're machmir even when we're dressed, yeah? That's why there's separate beds when the wife is nida. Here's the source. Now, another answer, he didn't know that. They were not completely undressed. She was dressed from the waist downwards. She had like a sinar. Sinar is like an apron kind of thing, like a pajamas, like an apron, and that stopped between them. So he thought if they're half dressed, half not, they don't have to be wearing a shtarmel and kapita. They just have to be halfway there. He thought it's okay. What do you mean he thought? He should have known better. He should have asked. He should have found out. He should have been so light about it. So at the end of the day, he died because of it. So we don't really learn a lot of Tosfos here in this year, but basically, Tosfos here brings down a lot of the harchokos that we have. Tosfos brings down over here, Ochel mishoto imi. He brings down a Gemara from other places, from Ksubas, that it says that a wife, when she's in nida, she only serves you in her left hand. You know that? Or a little bit far away from you. A wife should not serve her husband normally when she's nida, halacha today. Or he brings down the famous Rashi that says Rashi was machmir not to pass a key from the husband to the wife, either because it's derech hiba or because it may touch her. So Lamaisa, they say not only a key, even a bigger thing, you don't pass on from husband to wife or vice versa. I'm saying that's material to be studied later if you want homework. The Tosfos discusses all these things, not eating together. So what did we see so far? Not to eat together, zav and zava. We saw in the Mishnah, right? Kol shekin, regular guy that has the koyach and a zava, not to eat together unless they have hefsek. We saw not to be in the same bed even, lamaskana not even the same bed, right? And we also saw that ochali mishoto imi was wrong. So Tosfos says also not to pass things, to serve, a wife should not serve her husband. They say vice versa also, unless you do it with the left hand, b'shinui, or if she's a lefty, she has to do it with the right hand, or to put the plate a little bit far from the husband. Okay? I'm saying we're not learning all of Ilchas Nida, but these are some ideas. We know this is the source of what we always do. Zok the Heilige Mishnah, the Heilige Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Ve'el min halachos she'omu balias Chananya ben Chizkiah ben Gorin. And these are some of the halachos that were said in the attic, in the loft of Chananya, of a Tana called Chananya ben Chizkiah ben Gorin. Who was this man? She'olu levakroi. They went up to visit him. Nimnu. What happened when they came to visit Hanani ben Chizkiah ben Gorin? And soon we'll see what was he doing in that attic alone. They came to visit him. Who came to visit him? Nimnu v'rabu b'shamel b'silel. There was a moment in which there were more B'Shamai people than B'Silel people, and they used the moment, they seized the moment, they took advantage of that. And V'Rabu, they took a vote and they closed the door and they said, we have a majority of B'Shamai, elections. Now we're going to take a vote. B'Shamai were the majority. B'Shmonas Advam Godru Babayoim. B'Shamai, usually more Machmir, they took the opportunity, and on that day, they were goys there, they made 18 gzeros. This is now, we're beginning now, the famous sugya of Yudches Dovo, Shmonas Dovo. Okay? So, this Mishnah is not clear. Why? The Mishnah is not telling me which halachas are they, right? It's not telling me. It says, Ve'elu min halachos, right? We have discussed in the previous Mishnah, or maybe we will discuss in the next Mishnah, we will discuss some of the halachos that were decreed, were nigzar in that time, on that crucial day, and there were 18 different gzeres. Some of them, not all of them, are mentioned in the Mishnah and Shabbos. Now the Gemara is going to explain exactly what we mean. Says the Gemara, Abai is asking Rav Yosef, his Rebbe, you know Rav Yosef was Abai's Rebbe. Abai asks Rav Yosef, Eilutnan, or the Eilutnan, which means, what's the right version of this Mishnah? What's the right word? Do you say Eilutnan? What does Eilu mean? The following Mishnah is the one that contains Gzeros of Yechezkel, and I'm telling you now, the next Mishnah, which we're only going to see in a few dapim, that Mishnah talks about certain things you're not allowed to do on Friday because it creates Chilul Shabbos. Yeah, don't set up, let's say, traps for animals on Friday because it will be caught on Shabbos. Don't put which is all in the Shammai. Yeah. So, what are those? Which list of things mentioned in Shabbos are part of the 18 Dover? The next Mishnah, Eilu, we're starting a new statement, Eilu, the following Mishnah, or the Eilu Tnan, which is the previous one. What are the previous things we saw? We saw Gzera, not to read by the candle, you may come to tilt it, and also not to delouse your clothes because you may come to kill the lice. So the Gemara elaborates on the suffix ve'elu tnan hanida moron. Like in Mishpatim, you know the famous Rashi in Mishpatim, ve'ela Mishpatim vav moisif al rishonim. Ve'elu tnan, the previous halachos are part of Yudches Dover, or elu tnan de ba'in al meir kamon, the following one of the next Mishnah. That's what we don't know. Toshma, so here comes the Brisa. The Brisa says, ein poilin lo. Oh, you see. The Brisa says you shouldn't delouse your clothes, your fabric, whatever, your textile things, but the light of the candle, you may come to tilt it. And also you don't read by the light of the candle. And then it says, those things, and these are the halachos, those things that we saw in the previous Mishnah, of not doing complicated things by the light of the candle, yeah, those things are what they said in the ethic of Hanan B'Chizkiah ben Goron, Shmamina, Veilutnan Shmamina. From here we know that the previous halachas are part of the Yudches Dover. So we already know two of the Yudches Dover. What are they? Not to delouse and not to read L'Oraner, yeah, to do stuff by the light of the candle. Says Tosfos, what's the Brisa any better than the Mishnah? It says very good. In the Brisa, there are no other halachas mentioned. In the Mishnah, there's the group before a Mishnah and the group after a Mishnah. We're not sure which one. The Brisa only mentions the group before, not the group after. So we know that the group after about not hunting or not doing stuff on Friday is not part of the Yudches Dover. That's all. Now, but that's a cop-out. Why? We only know 2 out of the 18. The Gemara will tell us the entire list of things, all the 18 things that were nigzar. It's going to take a good few days. It's going to take us, I think, about a week to get through all 18 gzeros that Beit Shammai then, kind of by force managed to get going. Now we're going to see some Agadita as a preparation for the day of Hanani ben Chizkiah. Mikos of Megillah Stainis. Who is the person who wrote Megillah Stainis? What's Megillah Stainis? Megillah Stainis is a Megillah that appears many times. It's mentioned in the Gemara. Megillah Stainis is a whole list of days in which something happy and good and miraculous happened on that day. Purim, Chanukah, and many other days in which there was a nace to the Jewish nation or part of it. Megillah Stainis means what? You're not allowed to fast on that day. Yeah, you're not allowed to fast on that day. I'll give you one example. I remember from Rosh Hashanah Daf Yutef, there was a day in which what they said, I don't remember which day of the year it was, they wanted to make Gzera. The Romans made Gzera on, I think, Bris Milah and all kinds of things. And Chochamim asked the very choshev Roman lady, what shall we do? She said, Tzuba, hafginu balayla. Hafginu, make a hafgana. Mamish, like today. Yeah, make a demonstration at night. And they went and they shouted and demonstrated, and it convinced the Romans. Yeah, hafgana, ramabet. Yeah. So that was one day. Another day is Chafei Tevis, that's mentioned in Yuma, Daf I'm not sure if that was Chafei Tevis. The other was Chafei Tevis. Another day with Alexander McDon. The Alexander McDon saw Shimon HaTzadik, so he said, I like the Frum Jews, not the other ones. So who's the one who wrote the Megillah Tainis, a whole list of days throughout the year in which we're not supposed to have Tainis because it's a happy, good day? For Purim, you're not allowed to fast. So too, there are many, many other days like Purim, which today we don't believe in anymore. We'll see why. Originally, it was a Megillah full of such days. Who wrote that? Amu. So they said, Hanania ben Chizkiah the Siyosai, Hanani ben Chizkiah and his friends, his group, Shemechabevin es they like the Tzoros. What do you mean they like the Tzoros? Meaning they appreciated the Tzoros, says Rashi, Shenigalin Mehen. They like the nace, right? To Hazkir l'shabcha shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Rashi says, V'koisin me'anes la'asosen yom tov. Yeah, they appreciate so much the nisim. Yeah, and they say, wow, Hashem made us a nace that really were in such level to appreciate every nace, and that's why they said all these days we're going to show appreciation to Hashem by not allowing people to fast. And that's Megillah Tainis. Now, we, the generations that came after Hanan ben Chizkiah, we also appreciate the Tzoros, meaning getting out of trouble and being saved by Hashem. So why don't we have Megillah Tainis anymore? Why did we kind of, don't apply Megillah Tainis anymore? Manase, what can we do? Shibanu lichtov enenu speaking. We have so many tzoros nowadays, and so many nisim every other day. The pigua was frustrated. Yeah, if we come to write about all the nisim, we don't have enough. The whole year would be full of that. Yeah, I saw in the Dirshu they brought down. I remember Hashem who even some now. So maybe keep to some of the nisim, not all the others. But then you start discriminating. Yeah, why do you celebrate this ness and not the other? Right? So you can't have a year full of Yomim Tovim. That's also wrong. You have to have sometimes tinies, right? And if you start selecting, you're in trouble. Except for Chanukah Purim, they are like special. They are something else. Other than that, also Purim has its source, obviously, in the Tanakh. Yeah, that's a different thing. Davar Acher, another reason why today we don't have Megillas Tainis, and Shoite Nifga. Today, with such a low spiritual level, a Shoite, does not realize the pgoim. We have so many nisim happening and we don't even realize them. Yeah, so many nisim happen to us, we don't realize it's an ace because we are not spiritually attuned to realize it's an ace. So even the nisim that we do realize, we can't celebrate because again, we don't want to discriminate. That's the idea. Dover acher, a third reason, ein b'sar hameis margish be'izmal, which means when a dead person is dead, a dead corpse, the flesh of a dead person does not feel it when the scalpel, the Ismail, touches him. In other words, we're so desensitized, we're so low compared to previous generations, we don't really feel the simcha. We don't really feel the nace as much as they did. Yeah, pigua, not pigua, war, not war. We keep our lives, right? We keep living. In other words, we don't have the spiritual sensitivity like they used to have, we're like a mace. Yeah? So therefore, we don't feel it. Now the Gemara is asking a technical question. Is that so? Is that true? It says that the worms, the worms are difficult and painful for the dead body, just like the needle in the flesh of a live person. How do we know? It says about the mace, the bosor hurts him, he's pained in his bosor because of the worms, and his nefesh of the mace is te'ebal, is like mourning over him. So therefore, how do you say that? You see that a mace does feel, right? You're telling me that a mace does not feel the scalpel, maybe the mace does. Yeah. There could be an answer, by the way, and again, I saw that in the booklet, and that's an answer which I thought, but the Gemara doesn't give that answer. The answer could be that by the Toloim, the Rima, there's a special din from Hashem. Really, a dead person, if you cut his flesh, you won't feel. The Toloim is a special thing. Yeah, it's a punishment, like Gehenna. Why does the Shama go to Gehenna? Because we sinned. So now also the Toloim, they eat through the flesh, and the flesh feels it. It's part of the kapara. It's very painful, but it's a kapara. It goes to Olam Haba cleaner. The Gemara could have answered it, but it doesn't. The Gemara rather answers, Ema ein b'sar hameis shebachai margish ba'izmal. We are fixing what we said before, and we say Enechinami, the mace himself may feel the Toloim, may also feel the Ismail. If we ignore what I just said, maybe a mace feels some things, such as maybe worms, other things, but the Basar HaMace Shebechai doesn't feel. Your elbow or your the back of your heel, it's dead meat, dead skin. You don't feel there as much as right. You pinch yourself here, it hurts. You pinch yourself in the elbow, doesn't hurt as much. And that's pshat. The Basar HaMace Shebechai, that's in a lifer, person doesn't feel. The Kitzer, the Sikum is, it was just a metaphor. The idea is our generation is so desensitized, so deadened, and therefore we don't really have the Hargosha to have a Megillah Tainis. It would be fake. We wouldn't be real if we did it. Hanani ben Chizkiah ben Gor and his friends, they were in such a high darga, they were so real, they really felt the tzara and they felt the nace much more. And they could have a calendar full of all those special days of Megillah Tainis. Okay? One of these days was, I think it was in Chafei Teves when they went to the Afghana in Rosh Hashanah Yutes, or there was another one in Yuma, Chafei Teves. Also my birthday, that's where I remember that day. Okay. Weiter. Omar Vida Omar Rav. Says Rav Yehuda b'Shem Rav, Bram, however, Zochu Oisa Ish Latoiv, that man is remembered favorably. Who's the man? V'Chanani ben Chizkiah Shmoi. In other words, that's the man that's described in the Mishnah as what? As a person who went, soon we'll know why. He went up to the attic and he was there in solitary and they came to visit him and then they did that special gzera. What's the story of Hanan ben Chizkiah? Shilmolehu, why do we remember him so favorably? Ilmolehu, if not for him, Nignaz Sefer Yechezkel. If not for him, we would have hidden the Sefer Yechezkel. Sefer Yechezkel was in danger of being like hidden, Nignaz, so the regular Tom, Dick, and Harry shouldn't read that Sefer, shouldn't learn the Sefer. Why? What's the big scare? What's the big shash? What? No, that it says Ma'aser Merkava, you only learn you only learn one-on-one, you only learn it secretly. That's not the reason. That you can learn privately. The problem is a different problem. The word, maybe you're right according to other Meforshim, but Rashi says a different thing. The words of Yechezkel seem to contradict the Divrei Torah. Why is that? So Rashi says, it says there that Kohanim have to eat only shechted meat. Kohanim are only supposed to eat nevela v'treifa lo yochelu. Kohanim are not allowed to eat nevela v'treifa. Oh, great. What does that mean? Well, I'm not a Kohen. So I think what? That it's very nice to go to the supermarket in New York or London, anywhere, and buy a chicken. The Tim McKenzie shot in the head. Much cheaper. And it's the same taste. Are you saying you have to eat kosher? No. In Yechezkel it says only Kohanim don't eat nevela v'treifa. So what would the average Jew in the street say? I'm okay with it. It says in the Torah. Otherwise, I believe in Yechezkel, not in the Torah. It's also a frum source. That would be a big michshol. That would be a big trouble. There were other things Rashi brings down there. I don't really get what Rashi said there. He says another one. He says, V'chen tasa b'shiva b'chodesh. Yeah, there's a certain korban mentioned in the 7th of the month, and that korban is not written in the Torah. So I don't know exactly which one. Could be what you're saying is an additional reason. The beginning of Yechezkel, as it is very too graphic regarding HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Lamai said there was a big chashash that Sefer Yechezkel being misunderstood by people, maybe people shouldn't learn it, take it out of the Sefer. I mean, the big Talmid Chachamim can know, but maybe it's going to fall into the hands of every regular guy. And they had a Havamina to kind of censor, put it on the side, Sefer Yechezkel. So what did he do? Ma also? How did Chizkiah ben Hanani ben Chizkiah, how did he save the life of Sefer Yechezkel? They brought him up to the attic, 300 bottles or small barrels of oil. They say both for eating and for light. They gave him full supply. I saw in the booklet it says Heluloi. They brought him from Kaspi Tzibur. He was a Talmid Chacham serving the Tzibur, so they paid for him from the taxpayers' money because he deserved it. He was going to save the nation, the Yechezkel. What did he do? V'yoshav ba'aliyah v'dolshon. He sat in the attic and he worked hard to really delve into the Sefer Yechezkel business. And then Sefer Yechezkel was saved, and we have it today. So Rashi gives you if you're thrilled to know about the Kohanim not eating the nevela of treifa, Rashi says it's quite an easy reason. Why are the Kohanim as those who should not eat nevela of treifa? It doesn't mean that others should. The pshat is, but Kohanim had a stronger havamina to say that they should eat nevela of treifa, because Kohanim in Beis Hamikdash they do eat nevela. When do they eat nevela? When it comes to chatas ha'oif, how do you shecht chatas ha'oif? You take the Kohen, takes it to the mizbeach, from the kevish on the right hand side and the soiver there in the middle. He takes his sharp fingernail of the pinky, and shechts the chicken from the back, from the nape, the back of the neck. That's usually mamish melika. It's melika. Melika is treif otherwise. And here they allowed it. Oh, someone would say, hey, if a Kohen can do it in Beis Hamikdash, maybe he can also buy it in the supermarket, in Netivot, wherever he is, in New York, yeah, maybe it's Kohen. Kamash Malan, no. The Kohanim, although in Beis Hamikdash are allowed to eat the nevela of the Chatas Ha'oif, it's an exception to the rule, but otherwise they're not allowed, okay? That's why. Okay, I'm sure there were much more to that, because he sat there and he learned the whole thing. He didn't just make up a svara, but that was his job, to sit there and delve deep into the Sefer Yechezkel. And then they came to visit him, and they had a whole bunch of visitors from Beth Shammai and Beth Hillel, and they closed the door, as we're going to see later in the Gemara. And then Beth Shammai seized the moment and said, aha, finally our big day has arrived. Beth Shammai always lose the game, yeah? And now we're going to make a gzera, and they won, and those 18 gzeras were decreed. Now we're going to have an overview of many of the 18 gzeros, and from tomorrow onwards, we're going to see them more in detail. The first group sounds a bit scary, but it's not really. It's all about Tumah v'Tahara. Mai ninu shmonasar dovo. Shmonasar dovo gozu, frekt the Gemara, mai ninu shmonasar dovo. What are those 18 things? D'Tanan. So we see a Mishnah, and that Mishnah describes some of these things. Elu poislin es Tuma. Now we're going to see a whole bunch of Tuma situations in which a person or other things poisel truma, which means lifsel es Tuma means that basically, if you know the hierarchy, we don't have the whiteboard today, but I will tomorrow. We'll sit there. Tomorrow, Bli Neder will sit in the. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so tomorrow there's no share. We'll sit by the whiteboard room tomorrow. Hashem. So we have Aviava Satuma is the mace. Avatuma is a lot of things. Avatuma is what generates Tuma. Who's Avatuma? The person who touched the mace, right? Avatuma is Nevela, Sheretz, all the dead stuff, Nida, Zav, Zava, Yoledes, Metzoir, Avodah, the saddle of the Zav, all these things are all Avatuma. They touch Rishon Latuma. They can make a person Tome, right? And also Oichlun Mashkim and Kalim. Now, a person cannot become Sheni Latuma. In other words, let's say there's Avatuma, a Sheretz, a dead Sheretz. Dead Sheretz touched a Kli. The Kli is now Rishon Latuma. If that Kli touches the person is nothing. Only Sheni Latuma only applies to foods and drinks, Midoraisa. Yeah. Now, a person Midorabonon, if a person touched, as we're going to see all these things, he becomes something that passes the truma. There's a difference between metame and poisel. Letame something means you make it tome, and that thing as of itself will generate tuma further. Imagine yourself, lahavdil. Have you ever seen? I'm sure you have, lahavdil, a map of an underground train. You have a lot of stops, and then you have the last stop. Usually like a different graphic, like in London, I know very well. Yeah. So now let's say, a tuma is a stop that continues to another one. A psul means that's the last stop. Yeah. For example, sorry. Chulin, by chulin, the last stop is sheni latuma. For example, a dead sheretz is an avatuma, touched a person, rishon latuma, right? The person touched what? Touched, let's say, food, which is sheni latuma, end of story. Truma, truma goes one level further, and kochim even further. Truma can make shlishi, right? And shlishi is the last stop, and kochim can make revi also by foods and drinks. Now, it's not that complicated because all you have to know now is that there was a whole group of things that made truma possible. Truma apostle means that the truma became shlishi. They are sheni latuma. A whole bunch of situation and touching and eating, all kinds of things, make the person or the items makes them sheni latuma. Out of the whole hierarchy, which tomorrow I'm going to have the whiteboard blineder, they make it sheni latuma. And if he touches truma, the truma becomes shlishi and last. So now we're going to see, all you have to know now, for now, is we're going to meet now a whole group of things. What are they? Things, situations, foods, drinks, people who eat, people that sefer toiro, yadayim. What about these things? Common denominator is that Chachomim, Chazal, were goys are right there and then in the ethic of Hanania, that they become sheni latuma. And the way we describe it is by saying that they make the truma possible. So we don't have much time, we'll just get a taste now. Elu poisnin es truma. Ha-oichel oichel rishon. A person, now the first oichel means to eat, the second oichel means food. A person who ate a food which is rishon. I'm a person, I'm as tar as the snow, I'm a tar guy, I'm okay, just out of the mikveh, and I ate food that's rishon latuma. What did I tell you? If I touch food that's rishon latuma, eat it, midoraisa nothing. A person can only become tome from avatuma. If I'm a person, which I am, and I ate oichel rishon, oichel, which let's say was touched by an av, there's a dead rodent, there's a mouse, dead mouse, touched an apple, the apple is now rishon latuma. I ate the apple, not if I touched it, I ate it, what did I become? I became sheni. That's only with the rabbanon. And now if I touch truma, it becomes posel. Yeah, why is that? We're going to see on each and every one. Right now we're just translating. The oichel oichel sheni. Funnily enough, the same thing would be oichel sheni. In other words, let's say that apple, which was rishon, touched another food, yeah? Or let's say the drink touched food, and the food is sheni, and I'm a man, and I ate the food which is sheni latuma, I'm also sheni latuma. Whether I ate rishon latuma or sheni latuma, I become sheni latuma. If I touch the truma, okay, that truma becomes what? Becomes really the one second, becomes sheni. The truma becomes shlishi and last. Becomes the last one, the shlishi latuma. Now, one second. Okay, let's continue. Okay, now the shoyte mashkin tmein. A person drinks mashkim that are tome. We're not going yet into the details of what level of tuma, but the mashkim tmeim always make whoever touches them, or you drink the mashkim tmeim, you become sheni latuma. The result is always the same. A person who comes into a bathtub, you have maim she'uvin, maim which are not mikveh water. You have maim that were drawn from the well, from the pipe system, and your head and most of your body is diving into the water. You also become tome. Water, you think water makes you tar? No, makes you tome when you go in. Everything will be explained why. The reasons will come, I promise. The tar shenoflo al rosh v'ruba shlosh shelugin maim she'uvin. There's a tar person, and on his head he has a shower of the amount, not a big amount, of shlosh shelugim of maim, of water that's drawn, regular shower, let's say, or a bucket full of water on his head. He becomes sheni latuma. Yeah, a sefer Torah is sheni latuma. There's a truma that touches the sefer Torah. Truma is tomen. The sefer Torah has a din of sheni latuma. The yadayim, your hands, that's a sauce for netilas yadayim. A person's hands, unless he washed them, they make the truma possible, makes it shlishi. Tvul yom we'll discuss later because it's not true anyways. We really have to stop. Oichlim v'kelim, either food or vessels that became tome through mashkim, through drinks. There was a tome drink that made something like food or vessel that made them tome. They become sheni latuma. These were just words. Promise you, don't worry. Each and every item will be explained very, very well. The details and the reason, Bezos Hashem. Just wish all of us to have long life and manage to do the whole thing. Atzlacha uvrocha b'chol inyanim. Thank you. And Baruch Hashem, I wasn't even late tonight. Nice. We had pizza sederech. It was okay. Baruch Hashem. Nice. Thank you. Atzlacha bracha. Thank you to our YouTube viewers. Thank you.